Emma Lawson, and I'm 32 years old. 6 months ago, I thought I was married to the man I'd grow old with. 3 weeks ago, I learned I was just the understudy in my own life. Now, every time I walk into my quiet little rental, I can still see it. White plastic, two faint pink lines, sitting in the bathroom trash like the world's cruelest party favor. A positive pregnancy test. Not mine. Caleb and I met in grad school. Group project, terrible fluorescent lighting, coffee that tasted like burnt cardboard. He was 24 back then, all fast jokes and easy charm, the kind of guy who could turn a statistics presentation into stand-up. We started as classmates, then friends, then late-night library study partners who weren't really studying. After graduation, we got married. We were that couple people envied, at least from the outside. Inside jokes, Sunday morning pancakes, grocery store arguments about which cereal to buy, collapsing onto the couch together after long days. 4 years of marriage, 8 years together. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours. Kids had always been part of the vague someday plan. We'd talked about it before we got married. Eventually, we'd said, like the future was a place we could stroll into whenever we felt like it. We were both working, both reasonably stable, both at good ages for it. So about 6 months ago, I brought it up again. We were sitting at the dining table, laptop open, half-eaten pizza between us. He was scrolling through something for work, the glow painting his face in soft blue. "Hey," I said, trying to sound casual, "can we talk about kids again?" He looked up, eyebrows lifting. "Right now? In between spreadsheets and pepperoni?" I laughed, because that was our rhythm. "Yeah, I mean, why not? We've talked about someday for years. We're not getting any younger, you know." He set the laptop aside, leaned back in his chair. For a heartbeat, I thought I saw something like panic flash across his face, but then his expression crumpled. He said, voice already thick, I'm not ready." It was like watching a dam break. 1 second he was joking, the next his eyes were filling with tears. Real ones. His hands shook as he ran them through his hair. "There's still so much I want to do," he said, words tumbling out fast. "My career is finally taking off. The promotion's not locked in yet, and if we have a baby now, everything changes. I'm terrified I'll screw it up. Can we just wait, please?" He stood up, came around the table, dropped to his knees beside my chair like he was proposing again. He put his head in my lap and sobbed. I threaded my fingers through his hair automatically, my own chest tight. I hadn't expected this reaction. I thought maybe he'd say, "Give me another year," not dissolve in front of me. "Hey," I murmured, stroking his hair. "Hey, it's okay. We don't have to rush anything. I don't want to force you into something you're not ready for." He sniffed, wiped his eyes on the back of his hand. "I'm sorry, every time I picture being a dad, I freeze. I know we said we wanted kids, and I do. I think. Just not yet. Can we revisit it in a year or two, when things are more stable?" There it was, the phrase that would start to rot in my memory later. When things are more stable. "Of course," I said. What else was I supposed to say? "We can wait. I'm not going to drag you into parenthood kicking and screaming." He laughed wetly. "You're too good for me." I kissed his forehead and told myself this was compassion, that this was what marriage looked like. Compromise. Patience. Timelines bending, but not breaking. So I dropped it. Or at least I tried to. Fast forward 3 months. It was a Tuesday, the kind of afternoon where the sky can't decide if it wants to rain. I got off work early. Training got canceled last minute. I texted Caleb, but he didn't respond. Not unusual. His job gets busy. I pulled into our driveway around 4, enjoying the small luxury of being home while the sun was still up. The house was quiet, the way it always is when he isn't there. No playlists humming from the kitchen, no half-finished projects on the coffee table. I dumped my bag on the couch and headed toward the bathroom to wash my hands. There was a stack of junk mail in my hand, and I lifted the lid of the trash can with my wrist, ready to drop it in. That's when I saw it. It was just sitting there on top of some tissues, like someone had done it for dramatic effect. A white stick, digital screen still faintly visible. 2 lines. Positive. My brain did that thing where it tried to split into pieces. Confusion, curiosity, a tiny spark of wild hope I immediately smothered. I did the math in my head out of pure instinct. My last period had been annoying but normal. I haven't missed one. I definitely haven't taken a test. So whose was this? I picked it up with 2 fingers, like it might burn me. The screen had a smear across one corner, the faint outline of a thumbprint. My heart slammed against my ribs. There was a date on the side. 3 days ago. 3 days. Someone had taken this test in my house, used my bathroom, thrown this tiny bomb into my trash can, and just left. I sat down on the edge of the tub because my knees didn't feel like they could hold me. The tile was cold through my jeans. First thought, maybe Caleb had bought it for me. Maybe he was worried and this was some kind of messed up surprise gone wrong. But if it was for me, why was it used? Why was it here? Why didn't he say anything? Second thought, maybe a friend? Maybe one of my coworkers stopped by while I was out. Except I hadn't had anyone over in weeks. Caleb had, though. Quick beer with a friend after work. Coworker dropping off files. Little moments I'd never thought twice about. Until now. A pressure started building in my chest, like the air was running out of the room. Something is wrong. The thought came with terrifying clarity. Not a vague unease, not the subtle tension of a bad day. This felt like standing on a frozen lake and hearing the ice crack under you. I don't like the person I became next. I wish I could say I rose above it, that I waited and asked calmly. Instead, I went for his phone. It was on the dresser in our bedroom, plugged in like always, the screen dark and innocent. I stood there for a long moment, my reflection wavering in the black glass. Then I picked it up and entered the passcode. I knew it, of course I did. We'd never hidden that from each other. Until the last few months, when I realized I hadn't seen his screen light up near me in a while. Texts. Work group chat. Fantasy football. A string of messages from his mom about Sunday dinner. My thumb scrolled almost on its own, searching for her. I didn't know her name yet, but I knew she existed. I could feel her like a shadow in the room. It didn't take long. Vanessa Marketing was the thread. At first glance, it looked normal. Updates about campaigns, jokes about their boss, memes. Nothing explicitly sexual. But it felt wrong. Too many emojis. Too many "you're the only one who gets it" jokes. Too many late-night timestamps. My thumb kept scrolling, back and back, until the dates blurred. Then I saw it, from about 2 months ago. Vanessa, I think I might be pregnant. Caleb, holy shit, is it mine? I swallowed, reading it twice, 3 times, like the words might rearrange themselves into something less devastating. Vanessa, pretty sure. We've been careful with timing. I'm going to be real with you. My vision swam. I blinked hard, but the room didn't come back into focus. Scroll. More messages. Caleb. We'll figure it out. Just don't say anything yet, okay? I'm not ready for my whole life to blow up. Vanessa, I'm scared. Caleb, I know. Just keep this between us for now. I'll handle it. Handle it. I nearly laughed. A hysterical, ugly sound that didn't quite escape my throat. They'd been sleeping together for at least 6 months. The timeline crystallized in my head, every puzzle piece locking into place. Right around when I'd brought up kids. He hadn't cried because he wasn't ready to be a dad. He'd cried because he was already potentially about to become one, with someone else. I sat down on the edge of our bed, still holding the phone, the pregnancy test resting in my other hand. For a moment, I felt completely detached, like I was watching this happen to someone else. Then something colder slid into place inside me. I took screenshots of everything. Every, "I can't wait to see you tomorrow," every heart emoji, every conversation about timing and being careful, and "we'll figure it out." I emailed them to myself, backed them up to the cloud, dragged them into a folder on my laptop labeled something innocuous. Then I put his phone back exactly where I'd found it. In the kitchen, I made myself a sandwich and ate it standing at the counter, chewing mechanically. I tasted nothing. My hands only shook once, when I picked up my own phone and called a lawyer the next day. The consultation was surprisingly calm. I sat in a sleek office, hands wrapped around a mug of coffee I didn't drink, and laid out the facts. Married 4 years. He's been having an affair for at least 6 months. There's a good chance the other woman is pregnant with his child. I have screenshots. The lawyer nodded slowly. We have more than enough to pursue a fault-based divorce. In this state, adultery can absolutely impact asset division. The key is documentation and timing. Timing. I drove home afterward and called my dad. Told him everything. Listened to the silence on the other end of the line stretch until it snapped. Tell me when, he said. I'll drive down. I'll come get you, whatever you need. I need to do this my way, I told him, surprising both of us with how steady my voice sounded. That was Tuesday. On Saturday, we were supposed to go to Caleb's parents' house for their monthly family dinner. Pot roast, passive-aggressive questions about our life plans, the usual. I decided I'd go. I'd sit there across from him, smile at his mother, make small talk with his dad, while he squirmed under the weight of a secret I no longer shared. Then on Monday, I'd detonate everything. Saturday came faster than I wanted it to. By late afternoon, I was standing in front of the mirror in our bedroom, staring at my reflection in a soft blue dress I'd worn to his parents' house a dozen times before. It suddenly felt like a costume. The wife. Supportive, polite, smiling on cue. Caleb came out of the bathroom fixing his collar. He looked normal. No obvious guilt, no frantic eyes. Just the same easygoing husband everyone loved. "You ready?" he asked, leaning in to kiss my cheek. I let him. "Yeah," I said. "Ready." The whole drive over, I watched him from the corner of my eye. The way he hummed along to some song on the radio. The way his fingers tapped the steering wheel. How casually he asked about my day, like he wasn't sleeping with someone from his office and dodging responsibility for the child she might be carrying. If I didn't know what I knew, I'd have believed him. His parents' house smelled like pot roast and laundry detergent. His mom opened the door with her usual bright smile, arms wide. "There's my favorite girl," she said, pulling me into a hug. "You look tired. Are they overworking you?" "Something like that," I said. His dad was out back at the grill, his younger sister and her fiancé already on the couch, arguing about wedding playlists. We slipped into the familiar family chaos like we always did. Shoes in the entryway, coats on the hook, smiles on. It would have been comforting if it hadn't felt like I was walking through a minefield. In the kitchen, while Caleb disappeared to help his dad, his mom handed me a tray of glasses. "So," she said in that careful, loaded tone only mothers seem to master, "any news you two want to share?" I almost dropped a glass. "What do you mean?" I asked, even though I knew exactly what she meant. She'd been circling this topic for a year. "Oh, come on, Emma." She gave me a playful swat on the arm. "You've been married 4 years now. I'm not getting any younger. I'd like to meet my grandchildren before I need a walker." I forced a laugh, my throat tight. "We've talked about it," I said. "We're just taking our time." As if summoned, Caleb walked in, wiping his hands on a dish towel. "Taking your time with what?" "Your mother's harassing me about grandkids," I said lightly. His mom rolled her eyes. "It's not harassment. It's a gentle nudge. Your sister will probably have kids before you two at this rate." From the living room, his sister called, "That's the plan!" and her fiancé laughed. For the first time that evening, I saw Caleb's mask slip, just a fraction. His face went a shade paler, his jaw tightening. He glanced at me, then away. "I'm going to check on Dad," he muttered, retreating out the back door. His mom frowned. "Did I upset him?" "He's just stressed about work," I said automatically. The lie came so easily it scared me. Dinner was torture. We all sat around the table, passing dishes, talking about vacations and work and wedding details. Every time someone mentioned the future or when you guys have kids someday, I felt another tiny cut inside my chest. Caleb pushed food around his plate more than he ate. He kept excusing himself to the bathroom. His mother whispered to me at one point, "Is he okay? He looks ill." Morning sickness or guilt, I thought. Out loud, I said, "He's just tired." At one point, his dad turned to him, all booming cheer. "Hey, I'm planning a fishing trip next month. Just us guys. Maybe your brother-in-law-to-be, a couple buddies. What do you say?" I looked at Caleb. He stared at his mashed potatoes like they held the secrets of the universe. "Sounds great," he said. I wondered if he'd still be living here by then. I knew I wouldn't be. We left around 9. The car ride home was suffocatingly quiet. The streetlights flashed across his face in intervals, carving him into pieces. He gripped the wheel a little too tight. "You were quiet tonight," he said. "So were you." He didn't respond. I watched him, wondering if he was picturing 2 futures at once, one at this table, with his family, and one somewhere else, with Vanessa and a baby that might be his. On Sunday, we moved through our routine like actors hitting marks. Dishes, laundry, grocery list. He was on his phone a lot. I didn't need to see the screen to know who he was texting. I spent the day in the guest room with my laptop, finalizing details with my lawyer. Monday was circled in my mind like a date on a calendar. Monday morning, I called into work and took the day off. Caleb left at 8, kissing me goodbye at the door, unaware that the life he thought he'd carefully compartmentalized was about to collapse. I waited an hour. Then I called him. He picked up on the second ring. "Hey, what's up? Everything okay?" "Can you come home?" I said. My voice sounded calm, too calm. Something came up. "Can it wait? I just got here. I've got back-to-back meetings all morning." "No," I said. "Come home now." There was a pause. I imagined him frowning at his screen. "Emma, you're scaring me. Is everything okay?" "Just come home, Caleb." Another pause. "I'll be there in 30. I hung up. By the time his car pulled into the driveway, I was sitting at the kitchen table. The laptop was open in front of me, screenshots pulled up. The positive pregnancy test sat beside it, like a prop. He walked in, jacket half off. "What's going on?" he asked. "Did something happen?" "Yes," I said. "Sit down." He saw the test first. His face drained of color so fast it was almost impressive. He opened his mouth. "I was going to tell you." "Sit," I repeated. He sat. I turned the laptop around and watched him see his own words staring back at him. The late-night texts, the jokes, the "I think I might be pregnant," the "Is it mine?" His eyes moved faster and faster, his breathing shallow. "It's not what it looks like," he said, voice cracking. I tilted my head. "Really?" "Because it looks like you've been sleeping with Vanessa for at least 6 months. It looks like she might be pregnant with your child. It looks like 3 months ago, when I asked about having kids, you cried and told me you weren't ready while you were already trying it with someone else." His mouth opened and closed, searching for the right lie. "We didn't plan this," he said finally. "I mean, I messed up, okay? But I love you, Emma. I want to make this work." "Make what work?" I asked. "The marriage where my husband is having a baby with his coworker?" "We don't even know if it's mine," he said quickly. "It could be someone else's, or it could be a false positive." I actually laughed. "You texted her, 'Holy shit, is it mine?' Not, 'How is this possible?' Not, 'Are you sure?' You knew exactly how it was possible. You also knew it wasn't me." He flinched. He reached across the table for my hand. I pulled mine back. "Please," he said. "We can fix this. I'll end things with Vanessa. We can go to counseling. We can figure it out. We can even—" His eyes darted to the test. "We can raise the baby together. It'll be ours." The audacity of that sentence almost took my breath away. "You want me," I said slowly, "to raise the child you created while cheating on me, while lying to my face, while crying in my arms about not being ready." "People do it," he insisted desperately. "Blended families, stepkids, it happens all the time." "Blended families happen when there are past relationships," I said, "not ongoing affairs. You didn't have a life before me that showed up on our doorstep. You built this while you were still in mine." His expression shifted. The pleading softened into something sharper. "You went through my phone," he said. "That's a violation of privacy. Do you have any idea how messed up that is?" I stared at him. "You are seriously trying to make this about me going through your phone?" "You had no right," he said, anger rising. "That's controlling, Emma. That's not healthy." "Oh, okay," I said, my own voice finally cracking. "But you cheating on me for half a year and knocking up your coworker, that's healthy?" He stood abruptly, chair scraping the tile. "I need space to think." "Great," I said. "You can have all the space you want. Somewhere else." He frowned. "What does that mean?" I reached into my folder and pulled out the divorce papers, laid them on the table between us, neat and quiet. "It means I'm done," I said. "You'll want to get your own attorney." He stared at the papers like they were in another language. "You're divorcing me?" he whispered. "Just like that?" "Just like that," I said. "What did you think was going to happen? That we'd hug it out? That I'd help you co-parent your affair partner's baby while you worked on yourself?" "But we have 4 years together," he said, voice rising. "You're just throwing them away." "No," I said. "You threw them away 6 months ago. You just forgot to mention it." He grabbed the papers, tore them in half like he was in a movie. Pieces fluttered to the floor. "I'm not signing those," he snapped. "That's fine," I said. "I'll file anyway. It'll take longer, but the result is the same." "You're heartless," he said. "I made a mistake and you're willing to blow up everything because of one mistake?" "One?" I repeated. "Every text was a choice. Every time you slept with her was a choice. Every time you looked me in the eye and lied was a choice. This," I tapped the table between us, "is my choice." He slammed his palm down, making the test rattle. "You can't just kick me out of my own house." I stood up slowly. "Watch me." He stared at me for a long, taut moment. Then he snatched his keys off the counter. "You tell my parents about this," he said, voice low. "And I swear I'll make everyone see how crazy you are. You went through my phone. You're trying to ruin my career." "I have every message saved," I said, cutting him off. "Every 'I love you' you sent her. Every conversation about the pregnancy. If you want to turn this into a public spectacle, be my guest. But you won't like how you look in the spotlight." His jaw clenched. For a second, I thought he might throw something. Instead, he turned and stormed out, slamming the door so hard a picture frame on the wall fell and shattered. The house rang with the echo. I stood there for a moment, staring at the broken glass on the floor. Then I picked up my phone and called my dad. He answered on the first ring. "It's done," I said. "How'd he take it?" "About how you'd expect." Silence. Then gently, "You okay?" I looked at the ruined frame, the empty doorway, the pregnancy test still sitting on the table. "Not even a little," I said. "But I will be." The first few days after Caleb stormed out were strangely quiet. Not peaceful, never peaceful, but quiet in the way a city feels, just before a storm rolls in. The air gets heavy, the sky drops lower, everything starts holding its breath. He stayed in a hotel at first. I knew because his credit card notifications still pinged our shared email. Room charges, takeout receipts, bar tabs, a digital trail of a man spiraling. He also blew up my phone. At first, the messages were apologetic. "Emma, please, we can fix this. I'm sorry, I'll do anything." I panicked. I shouldn't have lied. Just talk to me. Then they softened. "We've been through so much. Don't throw everything away." Then they sharpened. "If you tell anyone about this, you'll regret it." My lawyer told me not to respond to any of them. "Document everything," she said, "but don't engage. Anything you say now can be twisted or used against you later." So I took screenshots, saved them in a folder titled D3 Post-Confrontation. I felt like a scientist cataloging a disaster. On Wednesday afternoon, 3 days after the blow-up, he showed up at my office. I was in a meeting when the receptionist pinged my desk phone. "Your husband is here with lunch." Except I knew Caleb wouldn't be bringing me lunch, even if I were starving on the sidewalk. I stepped into the hallway and saw him standing there, holding an empty paper bag like a prop he'd forgotten how to use. "We need to talk," he said, pushing past me into the small conference room. My coworker, Lauren, gave me a look. Eyebrows raised, silent question. "You good?" I forced a tight smile. "Give us a minute." When she left, I shut the door. "How did you get past reception?" I asked. He shrugged. "Told them I was your husband bringing lunch." "No lunch," I said. I panicked. He tossed the empty bag onto the table. "Look, Emma, we need to discuss this rationally. You blowing up our marriage over one mistake is insane." "One?" I repeated. 6 months of cheating, plus a pregnancy, is not one. "You don't know it's mine." "Yes," I said, "I do." He ran a hand through his hair, pacing. "Okay, fine, I messed up. But you can't just walk away from 4 years together. You can't pretend that doesn't mean anything." "You should have thought about that before Vanessa," I said. He stopped pacing and looked at me with something almost like disgust. "You're being cold," he accused. "I learned from the best." He flinched. Then he weaponized the one thing he thought would still wound me. "I'm scared," he said, lowering his voice. "I don't know what to do about the baby." A ghost of the man I married flickered behind his eyes. But the ache I felt wasn't compassion. It was recognition. He didn't want me, not really. He wanted the version of me that would cushion his fall. "That's not my problem," I said quietly. His face reddened. "How can you be so heartless?" "You cheated on me and lied for half a year," I said. "Trust me, Caleb, you don't get to call me heartless." I opened the door, making it very clear he needed to leave. He paused there, in the doorway, and said loud enough for half my office to hear, "Fine, abandon your child then. See if I care." My stomach dropped. Several heads snapped up. Lauren nearly choked on her coffee. "Caleb," I hissed, "don't you dare." But he was already walking away. My boss approached after he left. Kind man, mid-50s, whose beard always smelled faintly of cedar. "You all right?" he asked. I inhaled, exhaled. "My husband and I are separating," I said. "He's struggling with it." My boss nodded slowly. "If he shows up again and makes a scene, let me know. Security will handle it." I thanked him and excused myself to the restroom, where I cried in a stall with the faucet running. Later that week, his mom called. I'd been avoiding their numbers, but guilt eventually got the better of me. She deserved some kind of explanation, just not the whole story. "What is going on?" she demanded the moment I answered. "Caleb is devastated. He said you blindsided him." My throat tightened. "Did he tell you why?" "He said the two of you just grew apart, that you've been distant, that you refused counseling." I closed my eyes. "Ask him about Vanessa," I said. "Ask him about the pregnancy test I found." Silence. Then, "What pregnancy test?" "The one I found in our bathroom trash," I said, "for the baby that isn't mine." A small, sharp inhale came through the phone. "That's not possible," she said quickly. "Caleb wouldn't—" "He did," I said, "for 6 months." More silence, then the click of her hanging up. That evening his father called, much calmer. "Emma," he said, "is this true?" "Yes." A long pause, then, "I'm sorry you had to find out this way." The words cracked something in me. "Thank you," I whispered. "What do you need from me?" he asked. "Nothing," I said. "Just support him. He's going to need it." "And you?" he said gently. "I'm handling it." And I was. Or I thought I was. Then Monday arrived, the beginning of the real chaos. I came home after work to find Caleb in our bedroom, unpacking a suitcase. "What are you doing?" I asked. He didn't look at me. "Moving back in." "No, you're not." "It's my house too," he said sharply. "My name's on the deed. Legally, you can't make me leave." He was right. I called my lawyer after he left the room. "She can't force him out until the divorce is processed," she said, "but I can file for exclusive use of the home. Document everything. Do not engage unless necessary." So we lived together. Not as husband and wife. Not even as distant roommates. More like strangers trapped in a psychological chess match. He started making dinner and offering me some, as if that erased everything. I declined. He'd leave prenatal vitamins on the counter, where I would definitely see them. I ignored them. At night, he'd cry loudly. Not quietly, not privately. Loud enough for me to hear through the door of the guest room. I turned on white noise. A few days later, his phone lit up on the kitchen counter with an incoming call. The screen said, "Unknown." Against my better judgment, I answered. A man's voice said, "Look, we need to talk about this situation." It took me half a second to place him. Vanessa's ex-boyfriend, or current boyfriend, whatever he was. The father of the child she might be carrying. The man Caleb had been trying to live a double life against. "Talk about what?" I said. "The baby," he said. "She told me everything. I'm stepping up. You need to back off." I blinked. "Back off? I want nothing to do with any of this." He exhaled, annoyed. "Look, I'm trying to be decent here. It's my kid. Vanessa and I are working things out." "Oh," I said, "then congratulations, and good luck." I hung up and stared at the phone for a long moment. Then an idea sparked. An awful, petty, justified idea. I looked up Vanessa's company, found their fraternization policy, found HR contacts. 2 days later, Caleb came home looking like he'd been hit by a truck. He threw his keys on the counter and glared at me. "Did you report us to HR?" I raised an eyebrow. "Why would I do that? I don't even work there." "Someone found out," he snapped. "They called us into a meeting. We're under review." I shrugged. "Unfortunate." He stared, wild-eyed. "You're ruining my life." "No," I said. "I'm simply no longer protecting you from the consequences of your own choices." He opened his mouth, closed it, shook his head, and stormed off. That night, one of his friends called me, demanding to know if I'd put hands on Caleb. I laughed, a cold sound I barely recognized. "Check the guest room," I said. "I sleep there. We barely speak. The only thing I've touched is my patience." But rumors spread. On social media, Caleb posted vague quotes about betrayal, holding on to love, and fighting for family. His friends started commenting supportive messages. Some of his coworkers reached out to him publicly. Meanwhile, I stayed silent. My lawyer submitted paperwork for exclusive use of the house. Caleb's lawyer filed for a restraining order based on emotional intimidation. The court hearing was set for 2 weeks later. It felt like the world had tilted off its axis. But the worst part wasn't the rumors. It was the way Caleb walked through the house every day like he was the victim, like I had destroyed his life. The truth was simple. He lit the match. I just finally stopped putting out the fires. 2 weeks later, Caleb and I sat on opposite sides of a cramped courtroom. He looked smaller than I remembered. Hair unstyled, suit wrinkled, dark circles under his eyes. His lawyer kept whispering to him, glancing at me like I was a malfunctioning appliance they were trying to return. My lawyer sat beside me, calm and composed, sliding organized folders across the table as if this were just another Tuesday. She gave me a reassuring nod. "Remember," she murmured, "you don't speak unless the judge asks you to. Let the evidence carry itself." I inhaled once, slow and deep. My heart hammered like it was trying to punch its way out of my ribs. Caleb's attorney stood first. "Your Honor, my client is requesting a temporary restraining order due to escalating emotional volatility, controlling behaviors, and intimidation from his wife, Mrs. Lawson." I could feel my eyebrows lift. Emotional volatility? Controlling? The irony nearly choked me. The attorney continued, "Mr. Lawson fears for his well-being in the shared home. He has been subjected to unpredictable outbursts." My lawyer clicked her pen sharply, the legal equivalent of clearing her throat. "Objection, Your Honor. No evidence has been presented to support any of these claims." The judge glanced over his glasses at Caleb's side. "Do you have documented incidents?" They exchanged looks. Caleb shifted in his seat. "Well," his attorney said, "Mr. Lawson has described, verbally—" "No police reports?" the judge asked. "No." "No text indicating threats or intimidation?" "No." "No witnesses?" No." The judge leaned back. "We'll come back to the restraining order." My lawyer stood smoothly. Your Honor, my client is requesting exclusive use of the home during the divorce due to an untenable living situation directly caused by Mr. Lawson's admitted adultery and resulting pregnancy with another woman. The courtroom air tightened. Even Caleb's attorney didn't deny it. The judge rubbed his temples. Let me get this straight, he pointed at me. You are claiming your husband engaged in an affair resulting in pregnancy? Yes, Your Honor, my lawyer said, sliding forward a neat binder. We have documentation, messages, dates, corroborating communication. We also have the pregnancy test, she added, found in their home. Caleb's lawyer blurted, We contest the implication that the child is definitively his. My lawyer didn't even look up. You may review Exhibit C, which includes his own messages expressing concern about paternity. Caleb shifted violently in his chair. Those messages were taken out of context. The judge raised a hand. Mr. Lawson, you'll have an opportunity to speak. Silence fell like a thick curtain. The judge flipped through the binder, his expression flattening as he skimmed the screenshots. Then he closed it and exhaled through his nose, long and tired. Mr. Lawson, he said, staring at Caleb, did you have an affair? Caleb swallowed. Yes. Did the affair partner tell you she was pregnant? A beat. Yes. The judge turned to my lawyer. Mrs. Lawson's petition for temporary exclusive use is granted. Mr. Lawson will vacate the home within 14 days. Caleb's face collapsed. His lawyer jerked upright. Your Honor, this will leave my client displaced. He has parents in the area, the judge said flatly, and an affair partner with whom he created this situation. He has options. And the restraining order? Caleb's attorney pressed. Denied, the judge said, almost tiredly. Lack of evidence. Don't waste the court's time with baseless filings. A gavel bang, case adjourned, for now. Caleb stared at me like I had personally set fire to his life. Outside the courthouse, I didn't expect a showdown, but his mother was waiting. She descended on me like a storm cloud in a blouse. You should be ashamed, she hissed. Putting on this act, making Caleb look like a monster. I raised him better than that. I blinked. He cheated on me. He got another woman pregnant. I didn't make him look like anything. He did that himself. He made a mistake, she snapped. Marriage means forgiveness. You should stand by him. Some mistakes are unforgivable, I said quietly. Her jaw tightened. You're cruel, heartless. You're punishing him for being human. Caleb appeared behind her, face red. Mom, stop. But she shoved his arm away. No, she needs to hear this. Before she could launch into another tirade, Caleb's father stepped between us. That's enough, he said firmly. Let's go. His wife sputtered, but allowed herself to be pulled away. Caleb gave me one last look, a mix of fury, regret, and something like fear, before following them. I turned and walked to my car without looking back. The next 2 weeks were hell. Caleb stalled packing, left half-filled boxes around the house like landmines. Forgot toiletries in the bathroom. Sat in the living room watching TV with the volume maxed, pretending none of this was happening. His affair partner stopped returning his calls, apparently blindsided by HR involvement. His mother kept leaving voicemails. You're destroying our family. Caleb needs support right now. Don't do this. I archived every message without listening past the first sentence. The day he finally moved out, his father helped load the last boxes. His mother avoided eye contact, seething and silent. Caleb lingered in the doorway of my house. So that's it? He asked. You're just done. You were done 6 months ago, I said. You just didn't tell me. His jaw tightened. I hope someday you regret this. I hope someday you grow up, I said. He stepped back as though I'd slapped him. Then he walked to his car, got in, and drove away. I watched the taillights disappear. Then I went inside, locked the door, and sat on the floor in the quiet. It didn't feel like victory. It felt like relief wrapped in grief, wrapped in a kind of emptiness I didn't know how to name. The divorce moved fast after that. Caleb's lawyer pushed for alimony. The judge shut it down. He tried to argue he needed help preparing for fatherhood. The judge shut that down too. My lawyer presented the timeline of infidelity, the evidence of lies, the attempt to weaponize a false restraining order. In the end, asset division leaned heavily in my favor. The house went to me. I agreed to buy out his share, slightly below market value. His fault-based misconduct influenced the calculation. His car loan, previously on autopay from our shared account, was shifted fully to him. He couldn't afford it. He sold the car at a loss. We split smaller assets 60-40. No alimony. No spousal support. No obligation toward the child. The judge, God bless him, leaned back on the final day of proceedings and said to Caleb's attorney, Your client committed adultery, misrepresented paternity, and attempted to deceive his wife. Mr. Lawson is not a victim here. Let's proceed with finalization. Caleb deflated like a punctured tire. After the hearing, he tried to catch me outside the courthouse. Emma, please, just 5 minutes. No, I said. I need closure. You got closure, I said, stepping around him. It's called divorce papers. He followed a few steps. Don't you want to know why? Nothing you say changes anything. I was scared, he said, of commitment, of responsibility. Vanessa made me feel... Stop, I said. I don't care. I still love you. You love the stability I gave you, I said. That's not the same thing. His eyes glossed. I didn't stay to watch the rest. I walked away. Didn't look back. Caleb officially moved out on a Thursday. Not emotionally. He'd left long before that. But physically, the house finally stopped echoing with his footsteps, his sighs, his accidental slamming of cabinet doors at 1 a.m. The moment the last box was gone, I changed the locks. I didn't cry. Not because I wasn't grieving, but because I'd spent months grieving a marriage I didn't realize had already died. The following weeks unfolded in a strange, disorienting rhythm. Caleb oscillated between trying to guilt me, charm me, and threaten me. His mother called once, leaving a voicemail so long it cut her off mid-scolding. Something about family unity and standing by your man, and this child deserves stability. I blocked her number. His father texted me a simple, I'm sorry for everything. If you need anything, let me know. I didn't block him. Caleb's affair imploded quicker than anyone expected. Vanessa, already overwhelmed by the pregnancy, apparently didn't appreciate being pulled into HR investigations and whispered about in the office break room. I heard through mutual acquaintances that she'd said something like, I didn't sign up to be the villain in someone else's marriage, which was interesting, given that's exactly what she signed up for. It wasn't long before Caleb posted vague social media quotes about betrayal from unexpected places. I didn't look, but I heard. Someone always tells you. 2 months after Caleb left, I got an email from his mother. Subject line, a favor. The body of the email read, Caleb is struggling financially with the baby on the way. You were always more responsible with money. Would you consider helping him out during this difficult time? It's the right thing to do. I stared at my screen, stunned. Then I laughed, out loud, alone in my kitchen. It was sharp and humorless and cathartic. I typed a response, no, and pressed send. No explanation, no justification, no emotional labor. Just no. I blocked her after that. The baby was born a month later, a boy. Caleb's parents mailed me a birth announcement, a printed photo of a newborn in a knit hat, swaddled in a pastel blanket. I stared at it for exactly 3 seconds before tearing it in half and dropping it into the trash. Not because the baby did anything wrong, but because none of this was mine to carry. Never was. Never should have been. Caleb and Vanessa tried to make it work for about 6 weeks. Then reality hit. Night feedings, bills, screaming, colicky evenings. The very things Caleb said he wasn't ready for with me became unavoidable when they belonged to someone else. He bailed first. Vanessa invoked child support. Caleb cried about being financially ruined. Choices have consequences. As for me, I sold the house. Too many ghosts, too many memories soaked into carpet fibers and paint. I moved into a 2-bedroom condo downtown, smaller but full of light, a place where I could breathe without wondering which corner of the room still held a lie. Therapy helped. Not at first. The first few sessions, I sat there feeling like my skin didn't fit right. But gradually, the anger untangled itself from the shame. The shame peeled away from the grief, and the grief softened into something bearable. My therapist said something during one session that I wrote down. You didn't lose a marriage. You lost the illusion of one. I still read that sentence sometimes. It helps. I started dating again, slowly, carefully. The first time someone reached for my hand over dinner, my heart jumped like it was bracing for impact. But he was gentle, and I didn't pull away. Not every date was good. Some were awkward. Some ended with polite goodbyes outside an Uber. But each one reminded me of something important. I wasn't broken, just bruised. Bruises heal. Work improved too. I poured myself into new projects, took on responsibilities I'd been avoiding. Ironically, I earned a promotion during the messiest part of the divorce. Sometimes pain clears the path for opportunity. I reconnected with old friends, the ones Caleb subtly pushed away over the years. They're not really our people, he'd say. Turns out they were exactly my people. We went to brunches and game nights and movie marathons. I laughed again. Real laughter, not the brittle kind that comes with pretending. My dad called regularly. He never asked about Caleb, never pushed for details. He just checked in. You okay, kiddo? Eating enough? Want to come home for the weekend? It meant more than he'll ever know. The holidays were hard. No husband at my side. No shared traditions. No pretending under twinkle lights that everything was fine. But I survived them. Made my own plans. Created my own quiet rituals. Drank warm cider on my balcony while the city blinked below. Lonely? Sometimes. But honest. And honest felt like oxygen. A month ago, I ran into Caleb's sister at the grocery store. She looked hesitant, almost embarrassed. Emma, I didn't know everything. I'm sorry I helped him move back in. I wouldn't have if I knew the truth. I nodded. You were helping your brother. There's nothing to apologize for. She looked relieved. We chatted briefly about her upcoming wedding. She didn't mention Caleb. I didn't ask. It was a surprisingly gentle interaction. Proof that some fractures don't have to stay broken. Someone asked me recently if I regretted not fighting for the marriage. If I wished I'd tried counseling, or waited, or forgiven. My answer? No. You can't rebuild trust on ground that's already collapsed. You can't fix a marriage when one partner is building a secret life behind the drywall. You can't work through something when the very foundation was never real. Caleb didn't make a mistake. He made decisions, 100 of them, every day, over and over. He walked out of the marriage long before I asked him to leave the house. I just finally caught up to the truth. Do I miss the life I thought I had? Sometimes. But that life never actually existed. It was a hologram, a memory of something I wanted badly enough to believe in. Now, in my quiet condo, with no secrets vibrating in the walls, I've started something new. My life. Not ours. Mine. I cook meals that aren't shaped by anyone else's preferences. I buy flowers just for myself. I light candles in the evening and let soft music fill the space where tension used to live. And I breathe. For the first time in years, I breathe. To anyone who's ever felt their intuition whisper something is wrong, listen. To anyone who's ever been told they're overreacting, paranoid, too emotional, trust yourself. To anyone who's been betrayed. You're not broken, you're not foolish, you're not unlovable. You were lied to. And once you know the truth, you get to choose what comes next. I chose myself, and that has made all the difference.